died October 20th, 1977.
6 people were killed when Lynyrd Skynyrd's airplane crashed in rural Mississippi. A Houstonian was on that fatal flight. And Ned Hibbert is live tonight with his story. Ned?
Ron Eckerman's job was to manage what was then billed as Lynyrd Skynyrd's Tour of the Survivors. Looking back, he says there were many tidings of tragedy. The tour's title was just one of them. 40 years after they began, Lynyrd Skynyrd's music lives on.
A lot of their music has just become sort of like rock and roll anthems for Southerners. Sweet Home Alabama especially, Free Bird.
You can't have a rock and roll concert without somebody yelling out Free Bird.
Ron Eckerman was there when it ended. For Skynyrd's lead singer and lyricist, Ronnie Van Zant, 2 other band members, both pilots, and Eckerman's own assistant.
Ronnie Van Zant himself told me many times that he wouldn't make it to 30. It was 3 months before his birthday.
The tour took the band from Greenville, South Carolina to Baton Rouge. Their chartered plane, a twin-engine Convair with 26 on board.
It was my decision to fly that day, and I had located that airplane and signed the lease for it. So that haunts me every day.
The NTSB report faults the pilot and co-pilot. The aircraft ran out of fuel 10 minutes shy of its destination. Even as the propellers froze, Ron Eckerman says he never believed the plane would actually crash.
You know, the poker game went on 24 hours a day, or as long as we were in the plane. And one of the guys ripped the table out of off the wall. And my thought was, how am I going to straighten out this pot?
Losing altitude, the pilot tried an emergency landing.
And we started hitting the top of the trees, and it sounded like machine guns going off.
Instead, the aircraft descended into a Mississippi forest.
I actually saw the plane come apart in the center, and it looked like 2 massive hands had just taken the fuselage and unscrewed it. And the last thing I remember is seeing blue sky where the ceiling should have been.
Eckerman was unconscious for nearly a month, fading in and out, he was told later, with information it should have been impossible for him to know.
I'd wake up every couple of days, and I'd utter one name, and then go back to sleep. And every time I came to, I'd utter the name of one of the people that lost their lives.
It's taken decades for Ron Eckerman to put down in words the events of October 20th, 1977.
I've never recovered, and probably never will.
Turn It Up, he says, turns back time to an era before Skynyrd could be called the unluckiest band in history.
I wrote something that I'm very proud of. I think it tells them the story, and it gives Ronnie Van Zant what he's due after all these years.
Ronnie's younger brother Johnny fronts Lynyrd Skynyrd today. The band is still touring with a couple original members. Depending on how you define original, they just